Hey everybody, this is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous good-looking friends. I have something eye-opening to show you. Not surprising, but definitely something that I want to share that I think you guys would find interesting, and even to a certain degree, humorous. Most of you, if not all, have heard of Wikipedia before. For the most part, it is an openly edited online encyclopedia. The information source is a collective effort, and it has built a reputation of being a powerhouse of information on everything from celebrities to science. It's also had its moments of bad publicity in which PR companies have used this tool in order to boost up profiles of their clients, such as like a Meghan Markle. Unfortunately, these PR companies have tainted the reputation and integrity of this actual tool by abusing the edit feature and propagating celebrity pages with lies to create an image for their client. We see this with many D-list celebrities, such as Meghan Markle, and, it has given the reputation to Wikipedia as not being a trustable source because of the ability for anyone to go in and edit a page. Yes, that is true, but only if the page is not locked. And in certain cases, when you are a high profile celebrity or high profile politician or something that is really polarizing, such as events that have happened, whether it be wars and things such as that, the pages would have a grade or level of protection listed on it. Let me quickly show you what that looks like. So in Wikipedia, there are various locks that are placed on various pages. Not everybody gets a lock. Like, for instance, if I decided to open up a Wikipedia page, no, I would not get a lock because there's nobody writing about me. I can write whatever I want. However, as you become more famous, such as like the royal family, there are parameters that are put in place to ensure that your page or their pages don't get vandalized and false information be put in, because it happens. So let's look at Meghan for a second. This is what her title page looks like. And as you can see on the right-hand side, there is this lock with a little person icon. That is called the semi-protected silver lock. And if you look on this chart that Wikipedia has provided, it says that these pages have been persistently vandalized by anonymous and registered users, some highly visible template and modules. So what you see here is that, no, you can't go into Meghan's page and edit it as you please, because they do have a full team dedicated in order to monitor any changes or updates that come to the page to try and keep it as factual as possible. And if you look on the left side, there's various locks that are sitting there. So you have the extended confirmed protected blue lock, which is an important lock to have. You have the fully protected gold lock, meaning that nobody can touch the page to just stay the way that it is. I mean, it's interesting, these little icons. And if you get a chance, you can go in and, if you do open up a page, check it out and see, because you can click on it and it'll tell you what it says. As you can see, Catherine has this semi-protected icon, as does King Charles, but I assume that eventually King Charles will be changed to what his mother was, which was in the extended protected class, which is another level or layer to protection, and it's specific topic areas that are authorized by a special division. And not only does it include the semi-protected rules, but it also does monitor and make sure that the high-risk templates aren't changed because of their position. So you see this with many heads of state. So like Joe Biden has it, our former president has it. But interestingly enough, Barack Obama doesn't have it. So I'm not sure what happened there. But for the most part, if you look at a lot of high profile figures in the political arena, to make sure that the information is accurate. Okay, so now that you understand that it's not that easy to change the information of high profile celebrities, so now let's talk about the people who are responsible for keeping the integrity of these pages. And we'll use just the royal family as the example, because we're going to be talking about Meghan Markle's page in a second. So there are a couple people, when you look into the revisions and the edits, because everything is transparent, which is the cool thing. There are a couple people, names that pop up that are frequent in managing and approving edits and adding to it and doing the writing. So one of them is this guy named Kayvon F. Don't know his first name, but that's his last name. And this person, you'll see him all over Meghan Markle's edit page, and you'll see him all over the entire royal family's page. So he has pretty much ownership in managing and maintaining, amongst other people. I mean, it's a full-on team. Frequent contributors are like Sampa Jenna, Alan Scott Walker, Betty Daisies. The few that I've showed you, they have been paying particular attention to Meghan Markle's page and keeping up with all the drama that's going on. But if you or I wanted to submit an edit, if let's say we saw something wrong, we would be able to do so. It would be one of these folks who would make the agreement to make the changes. I don't know if they necessarily have admin privileges, but they can edit. So that's sort of the premise of this. Now, with that being said, let's take a look at Meghan Markle's page from the beginning, just real quick. So this was Meghan Markle's page back in 2011 when she was pretty much a nobody. And it fit all on one screen. As you can see, very simple, not too consuming. Okay, fast forward now to 2015, right before she started to work with Sunshine Sachs to populate and build up her page. This is what it looked like, still fit on one page, and this was her occupation. And we know that after she met Harry, all of a sudden this page started to take on a life of its own, where now all of a sudden she's a humanitarian and she's listing every single good deed gift card that she's given out, or the many stupid puff pieces and PR shenanigans that are supposed to be notable end up on this page. Here is what Meghan Markle's Wikipedia page looks like today. Now is a good time if you want to take a bathroom break, please feel free to do so, but keep the video running, because I guarantee by the time you come back, it's still going to be going. Like, how ridiculous is that? Let me show you some stats. So I ran a report, and you can do this in Wikipedia, to see certain stats like how many people have viewed the page, how many edits were made, how many actual editors are working on the page. And I put it from the time period of when she came into the royal family, so around April, May 2018, all the way up to December 2022. These were the results. Now, as you can see, the blue color is Meghan, the orange color is Prince Harry, and then the other colors are Prince William and Catherine as the Duchess of Cambridge and now the Princess of Wales. So, as you can see, clearly Meghan and Harry totally standing out all the way over there. Now, if you look at the bottom of the list, let's take a look at some of those numbers. For edits, for Meghan, over 4,000, almost 5,000 edits were made, and 856 editors working on that page. She has a total of 59 million views, which is impressive, but also because they were in the media so frequently. And then followed by Prince Harry, who came in at second at 37 million. But if you notice the gap ratio between the amount of editors that William and Catherine have and amounts of edits compared to the Sussexes, it tells a story right there in itself that they are constantly in the media, constantly putting out conflicting stories, and things have to be changed. There's the evidence. Now let's look at the month of January. We're not even done with the month, and here we go right off the bat. You can clearly see that Meghan and Harry, there's tons of views for the pages. One, because, yeah, the people who are working on it, the teams, because Spare and that horrible mockumentary now has totally flipped everything upside down on these pages for Meghan and Harry. I do feel sorry for Betty Daisies, Sampajana, Kayvon, because they have to update this crap. And they are at the point where they're expressing their frustration with how out of hand, for instance, Meghan's page has gotten. Let me show you an example. In this talk thread, we see Kayvon and Betty Daisies talking about how exasperating this whole page is for Meghan Markle. So this kicks off back in February 2022 with Betty Daisies starting the thread saying getting out of hand. And it writes, "This article is rapidly becoming too long to comfortably navigate. It is already as long as that about Elizabeth II, the woman who has been in the media spotlight 90 years longer than Meghan. We have to consider one of the two approaches here. 1. Creating sub-articles such as Privacy and Media Relations of Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, Charity Work and Advocacy of Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, etc. So one editor says that they favor option 2, then Betty Daisy chimes in again and says, I think this applies to similar royal articles too, in bites. The articles for Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, and Diana, Princess of Wales, both supersede Elizabeth's as well. There are a bunch of drafts in progress for their fashion and style, which is the only branching I know of in development. I think if we can summarize 70 years of an entire reign adequately in her own article, it shouldn't be difficult to summarize other categories. There has been discussion of splitting the privacy and media section of both Harry and Meghan's page into a separate article before, and giving the notability on the subject, it makes some sense, but I do think other things can and should be summarized. Sections detailing public life and charity work can often turn into lists of appearances, engagements, which isn't beneficial. So one editor says that they favor option 2, then Betty Daisy chimes in again and says, I think this applies to similar royal articles too, in bites. The articles for Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, and Diana, Princess of Wales, both supersede Elizabeth's as well. There are a bunch of drafts in progress for their fashion and style, which is the only branching I know of in development. I think if we can summarize 70 years of an entire reign adequately in her own article, it shouldn't be difficult to summarize other categories. There has been discussion of splitting the privacy and media section of both Harry and Meghan's page into a separate article before, and giving the notability on the subject, it makes some sense, but I do think other things can and should be summarized. Sections detailing public life and charity work can often turn into lists of appearances, engagements, which isn't beneficial. And on top of having to deal with the ever-changing narrative and figuring out how to manage the lies, they get an onslaught of these anonymous people that come onto the platform and make suggestions to make certain edits, thus accusing the pages of being racist. Let me show you some examples of that. There are thousands of these arguments in the talk section. Here's just one that I pulled between Kayvon and an anonymous user, in which you can see the IP address. And they start off the thread with this: "Why is this page so disgustingly one-sided? This page is a disgrace to the fabric of Wikipedia. Was it written by Piers Morgan? Why are all the sources and citations from right-wing hacks and Tory politicians shameful?" This was December 2022. Kayvon responds, "Don't know where you got that from. The Guardian, People, Harper's Bazaar, BBC News, Vanity Fair, BuzzFeed News, Deadline, Forbes are all cited within the article, none of which are actually right-wing." Another anonymous sugar writes, starting off the thread, regarding the veracity of claims section, "It's completely rambling, nitpicky, one-sided, and should be edited down. The bulk of this section goes against Wikipedia not being a soapbox intended for scandal mongering and gossip. Many of the things cited as facts are anecdotes and speculation about the Duchess's subjective opinions. It's completely inappropriate." So Kayvon lays it down and he says, "The thing is that the whole documentary is one-sided, with comments thrown in by people based on their subjective, not objective, opinions. And this was reflected in the reviews put forward by newspaper and outlets from both sides of the political spectrum. Since we're including the subjective content of the documentary, then the subjective reaction to it can be equally included." You know, you got to give Kayvon credit here, because he took over Meghan's page when she married into the family and has been dealing with this and the onslaught of these idiots making these edits, or, making these suggestions and having these arguments. Here is one where I believe, and it actually sounds like he's fed up and he's at his limit. So another user comes in and starts the disputes with the British royal family thread. This is December 2022. User writes, "I think perhaps it might be time to start a section for disputes with the British royal family. That seems to be one major theme of Meghan's current public activities and creative output. I suggest we start looking at ways to formulate and compile this topic into an informative section." So Kayvon comes in, and now you can see him changing his tune, because in February of 2022, he's like, "Oh, I don't see it as a problem. We'll just listen. Which disputes are you referring to exactly? I'm asking because we have to be specific. As you know, there are articles published daily about these disputes and dramas, none of which are actually confirmed to be true by either the palace or the Sussexes. And frankly, without confirmation, we can only treat them as gossip. The legal disputes with the media are already covered, and so is the Oprah interview to some extent." We also have a whole separate article on that interview itself, and that is true, and that's another cluster F if you want to take the time to look at. And it says, "So far, they have not made any defamatory claims openly in recent times. Thus, I suggest we avoid introducing new information that has not come out of either her or her husband's mouth. The article already deemed to be too long by some users, and we should avoid making it unnecessarily longer." So another person responds, "A country's minorities are crying out for better policing, housing, and healthcare, but instead, they are faced with a debate over which princess made the other one cry over a bridesmaid's dress." Can't make this shit up. You just can't. As you can see, people are fed up. And if you can now piss off the people at Wikipedia, and they are now calling you out. Even though their major position is to remain neutral, you definitely have problems. And finally, just to show you that Kayvon has his head on straight, some user starts a thread that says Meghan hating media fraternity, in which Dan Wooten, Piers Morgan, Nigel Farage, Tom Bauer, Brendan O'Neill, Freddie Gray, Richard Tice, Toby Young, and Rod Little are being accused and labeled for criticizing Meghan Markle, in which Kayvon steps up and says, an opinion piece by Catherine Bennett is not enough to label a group of people as haters. Thank you, Kayvon, for your dedication to this project. I don't envy you, but I respect your patience and diplomacy. I'm looking forward to seeing how you parlay spare into this Wikipedia nightmare. Anyhow, my friends, that's all I have for you today. If you are interested in looking through these talk threads on how they come up with writing this stuff, on each of those pages, as you can see with that red arrow, where it says talk, just click into that and have a blast. I recommend looking at Lilibeth's page. I recommend looking at Archie's page, and as well as Doria's page. So I would go check that out. But on that note, I will be back soon with more content. But until then, be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
I was such a fraud.